Midnight at Witch Lane. If I do not die of fright, wake me with the morning light. Written by Martha Wickham. Narrated by Laurel Brochette. Chapter 1. The Bewitched Bottle. It had been a few years since the witch had been put to rest. She had been gone for a while, and everyone had just moved on with their lives. The kids were now in school and were hanging out together. They missed Nick, though, not because he was an amazing person to be around. They felt terrible that he was the one to get eliminated. They thought maybe it was his karma. Father Ben was preaching to a group of young Calgary boys for the upcoming Sunday. After briefing them, Father Ben came to his room and noticed one of the bottles of holy water was slightly tipped over. He was confused about who went into his room in his absence, but thinking it might have been the cleaners, he dismissed the thought and fixed the bottle. Father Ben didn't think much of it, so he just put the bottle up and went around the office looking for his pen. He found the pen, closed the drawer to turn around, and saw the same bottle tipped over again. "What are you trying to tell me?" Father Ben whispered at the tipped-over bottle. The bottle rolled over the table and smashed completely on the floor. Father Ben realized the reference and decided to stop by the haunted house and look around. Later in the evening, after he was done with the church, Father Ben walked over to the haunted house. Almost immediately, he could see the signs in the house telling him that the witch was freed once again. He walked to the center or the ritual room where she always stayed, gripping his rosary and cross in his hand. "Well, hello, old friend," the witch greeted with a smirk on her face. Father Ben grimaced. "Christ, every time you come back, you tend to get a little more and more uglier. What's your secret?" he asked the witch sarcastically. The witch rolled her eyes. "Don't be bitter. Your God helped me get back out this time. Looks like he is switching sides," the witch responded with a sly expression. "What do you mean?" Father Ben asked. "Well, this time the wind freed me." "The bottle rolled over and broke. See? Science," the witch retorted, making Father Ben cringe. "So, ready to die?" This time the witch asked sarcastically. Father Ben sighed. He was taking out holy water in another bottle. He started chanting the prayer as he emptied the bottle of holy water, pouring it all over himself. "It won't work, but whatever," the witch said as she shrugged. With one spell, she threw Father Ben over at the wall and grabbed him by the throat, strangling him. Father Ben tried to fight her off, but he could see how it would be futile. The witch had come back stronger than expected. The witch strangled him for a good 5 minutes until she could see he was no longer alive. She then threw his lifeless body on the ground and walked away. Paul and Clara decided to meet for coffee after their session at the college. Clara was going to one of the Ivy League schools to follow her passion for nuclear physics, while Paul had managed to get a scholarship to a good college to study social sciences. He wanted to learn about human behavior. You could tell he had always stuck around the oddest people to learn more about them. "My roommate believes just borrowing something isn't stealing if you don't ask. And she always has someone over," Clara complained. Paul laughed. "It is fine as long as you don't wake up late for class with a dick painted on your face and all your laundry dumped on your bed," Paul responded. Clara couldn't help but let out a little giggle. Paul marveled at her beauty and how adorable she looked, smiling as her eyes crinkled at the corner. "Well, it feels like the witch still has a curse on us. But this time, she is using a young, dumb college student to take her revenge," Clara added, making Paul laugh. They both caught up on a cup of coffee since Clara's school was an hour away from Paul's. Clara drove to their hangout spot regularly since her parents got her a car as a present while Paul took a bus. He looked forward to their little dates, hoping things would slowly get better and they could officially start dating. Paul's phone rang and it was his mom. Groaning, he picked up the call, knowing she would lose it if he didn't. "Yes, Mother," visibly agitated. He could hear his mom breathing heavily and got concerned. "Son, I have to tell you something," his mom spoke. He could hear the urgency in her tone, and he asked, "Mom, is everything okay?" He could see that Clara started getting worried. "Well, you know Father Ben from our church, with whom you and your friends hung out?" "Yeah," he responded quickly. "Well, he is dead. The police found him dead in one of the allegedly haunted houses." Paul gulped. He wondered what had happened and was scared to get wrapped up in it again. "Well, I'm sure that's horrible, but I'm afraid I have a lot of work to take care of, so I will be skipping the funeral. But please do pay my respects to the church," Paul replied. "That's all right, honey. Don't worry about anything. It will be fine, okay?" his mom said. Paul hung up the phone and told Clara about his conversation with his mother. Clara shared her thoughts. She didn't want to return home to get wrapped up in this witch drama. He went home and decided to get ready for bed as the night grew darker. He prepped for the next day and got into bed when his phone rang again. This time it was Mark. "Hey, buddy," Paul greeted him, but Mark immediately cut him off. "You need to come over right now." And with that, Mark hung up, pushing Paul's mind to ponder what was happening. Chapter 2. Old Friends. Father Ben's passing came as a red alert to the whole gang. They all decided to meet at the local restaurant after Father Ben's funeral and check up on each other and all the good times they had with Father Ben. Gina was coming all the way from home, given that she found college closer to her aunt and uncle's place, who were too scared to send her far away from home. They were the only family she had left after her parents passed away. So as soon as Father Ben's news reached her, she called Mark, who told her how the gang would be reuniting. Clara was within a shorter distance, and so was Mark. They all met at a small restaurant except for Sam, who had his entire list of problems to avoid meeting. Sam hadn't recovered from Nick's death completely. While all his friends left for college, Sam progressively spiraled out of control. He told his parents about it, and they put him in an institution to help him recover from the problems that he was facing. He had become increasingly troubled, exhibiting signs of paranoia and feeling like he was constantly under surveillance. He couldn't sleep or eat without fearing that he was being chased and watched. The gang got together at the restaurant, and Mark cleared his throat. "I think we need to face the truth," he announced. Paul rolled his eyes. "And what is that?" he asked sarcastically, raising his eyebrows. "That the witch is back and she wants revenge," Mark remarked sternly. Paul scoffed while Gina shook her head. "Oh, cut it out, Paul. Why would you continuously ignore the truth when it is right in front of you? Father Ben has died, and now we are all suffering," Mark cried out. Paul went quiet. "It is true. I keep seeing my dead parents' ghosts in my room, which has never happened before. It was a few weeks before Father Ben's death, and it just felt like something bad was going to happen. I remember my mom's ghost in particular, asking me to join them or the witch would kill me. My mom didn't know about the witch or any witch in her entire life. She died years ago, remember?" Gina explained with tears in her eyes. Clara went and wrapped her arms around Gina, trying to comfort her. Clara looked up at Paul and gave him a knowing look. "I understand you want to act all brave, tough, and mighty, but I think it's about time we face reality and prepare ourselves for what is coming. she said, maintaining eye contact with Paul. Also, I met Sam before he got discharged from rehab. He told me he saw the witch following him around, asking him to join her. I wouldn't let him sleep or eat. He told me how she uses Nick's ghost to bug him occasionally, telling him that he is why Nick's dead. He has been distraught. He is on psychiatric medication and whatnot. He just got released, but I am sure if she is free, she won't let him be, Gina explained. Mark looked at Paul mockingly. Would you like to share what you know, or are you still going to act ignorant as if nothing is happening? Paul scoffed, rolling his eyes, and looked away. Clara shook her head in disbelief. Come on, Gina, it's getting late. We better get going. You come with me. I will drop you off on my way. I need to pick a couple of things from my place, Clara added as she packed her bag. You aren't going back home. It isn't, Paul started, but Clara interrupted him. Isn't it safe? You sound like a hypocrite, Paul. Either come clean or just don't even try caring about any of us like you pretend to, Clara argued. Paul wanted to say something but couldn't. Clara shook her head disapprovingly and left with Gina. Way to go, Paul, Mark remarked lowly as everyone else left. Paul shook his head. She is coming for me, Paul commented in a low, monotone voice, without any expression on his face. What do you mean? Mark asked, confused by his response. Well, like everyone else, I have had a nightmare too, right after I got to know about Father Ben. She came to me and said that she was only coming for me. She told me how she wouldn't stop until she could kill me and use my soul to bring back everyone she had lost. Father Ben's death was just the beginning. She knew no one except him could put her back in the bottle. She thinks I am his protege, and I might be able to do it if I practice hard enough. So she wants to put an end to my life and save herself, Paul explained. Mark's jaw hung ajar as he tried to process everything his friend had just said. So you know all this and wouldn't share it with the rest of us? Mark asked him in disbelief. Paul shrugged. Why would I put you guys at risk knowing she wouldn't stop until she kills me or ends me? I don't want you guys to suffer because of me, Paul added. Mark had tears in his eyes. What do I do? She keeps tormenting me every night, telling me how badly she wants to kill you, and I have to fight her off. We need to start wearing our protection bracelets and all the other stuff we have to fight her off, Mark said. Paul nodded in agreement. Later, they sent a message to all their friends to up their protection game and start looking out for any signs of the witch being around.